Infinity is Marvel's next big event. To catch up on storylines prior to this event, check out B3 Comics' comprehensive preview. Infinity begins with a reprint of Marvel's free comic book day issue, Infinity. Thanos and his Black Order are collecting tribute from conquered worlds, while his Outrider comes to Earth seeking a secret Thanos desires. The Outrider eventually arrives at Attilan, the Inhuman capital. He delves for secrets inside Black Bolt's mind. He looks past the Illuminati's actions fighting the incursion points and finds a hidden memory about ancient kings. Black Bolt drives him out of his mind before he learns more, but despite being injured, the Outrider manages to escape back to Thanos. Meanwhile, the Builders are making their way to Earth, destroying one world at a time. Word of the Space Knight planet Galador's destruction reaches the Avengers. Combined with other reports from the Kree and Shi'ar empires, the Avengers decide to meet this new threat in space. News of the Avengers' departure reaches Titan, where Thanos has just learned that Black Bolt has what he seeks. With no Avengers to defend Earth, it is the perfect time for Thanos to strike.
So this was just a massive first issue. Most of it was just setup, but I still thought it was pretty good.
It was a lot of setup. B3 Comics has already created a comprehensive preview that you can go check out, where we've gone over a lot of the storylines prior to Infinity.
But I thought what was nice about this issue is some of the storylines we had less insight into really got developed. Specifically, when we start off with Thanos' storyline, now we know a little bit more of what he may be looking for.
Yeah, it seems that his search is connected to the Inhumans, but what I really liked was his reason for coming to Earth, and his generals sort of explain it very well when they give the rundown of the current affairs of the Earth heroes. His general Corvus Glaive says, "There's discord in the House Inhuman, schism between the mutant schools, and Earth has no Avengers."
I did like how a little bit above that, though, some of the other like lieutenants or generals of Thanos were saying like, "We can't attack Earth. That's madness." So I guess Earth has a reputation of like, yeah, it's a backwater planet, but you don't want to mess with them. Even in the last Guardians of the Galaxy issue, Thanos just complains saying like the stupidity of Earthlings, specifically Wolverine, has like caused reality to just be ripped in half.
That's probably the perfect impersonation of what all these galactic powers think Earth heroes to be. Just Wolverine, just this reckless idiot that has all this power that just does whatever he wants. No concern for the future, the well-being of, reality.
He just can't die either. Jumping back to Infinity, though, Thanos is looking specifically for something from the Inhumans. His Outrider is like reaching into the mind of Black Bolt and looking past even the Illuminati's kind of schemes into like ancient Inhuman history. And we get to see like an ancient king, and that's
Four
what he's
kings and a queen.
4 kings and a queen. And that's what they're looking for. What do you think it is specifically, though?
I think it has a lot to do with the Terrigen crystals that Maximus has created, a machine that harnesses them, and Black Bolt seems to be maybe doing something that's going to start more Terrigenesis occurring. Maybe there's going to be more Inhuman evolution occurring.
Yeah, I could see a lot of potential people, specifically Thanos, wanting Terrigen crystals, or that type of power.
It's going to make the Inhumans, specifically Black Bolt, a lot more important moving forward. We already know that there's going to be an Inhumans series that's going to be starting. And I do know from previous Hickman works, he really does like Black Bolt and the Inhumans.
Yeah, used him quite a bit in his Fantastic Four.
But moving on, let's look at the Builders, who are the other big threat. And we learned a little bit more about them in this issue. Saw a lot more of them, actually.
To me, the Builder storyline seemed to mainly just be a rehash of like the first 15 issues of Avengers that Hickman's already written. I guess we did get a little bit more new insight, but for the most part I didn't think any of it was too groundbreaking.
What I liked was the classifications of the Builders that we are now aware of. Creators, engineers, caretakers, curators, alephs, and then gardeners. Before, all we knew about were the alephs and the gardeners. So we're getting to know a little bit more about their society, and I guess they have really a hierarchy about who's in charge.
They definitely do. We get to see more of the destruction of Galador. I thought Galador was, we just had to assume that it was being destroyed, but we actually got to see the Space Knights at least attempt to put up some resistance.
What I liked about that scene was that Captain Universe shows up, and Captain Universe is obviously very, very powerful. and she sees Space Knight save this couple, but then instead of like helping in any way, she just goes and basically is a downer. And then, you know, destruction happens.
In this issue also they talk about how like these builder fleets are all going to seemingly converge on Earth, but they, you know, are cutting a path of destruction through other planetary systems first, or other galaxies first. So like Skrull refugees are coming to Earth, and we get to see a bunch of teenage Skrulls, which I thought was kind of bizarre because Captain America and Hawkeye like burst into a room that they're in.
Yeah.
And it's just these kid Skrulls eating pizza. And then the next scene is them just like Captain America putting a shield through one of their faces. I didn't see them make any aggressive moves. I think that looks like Avengers brutality to me.
I like how they make an off comment like, you know, they had no real trained soldier here. What's up with that? After they just completely beat these guys.
Yeah. Avengers, you know.
I did like how there was a lot of the alien species and empires mentioned in this. You said the Skrulls, we see the Kree and their, you know, suffering from the Builders, the Shi'ar amassing forces, and it really just gives this event like a huge, huge perspective. Like it's a massive event.
And the Avengers have now decided they're going to rally their team together and go out in space, hopefully form an alliance with some other alien species. I thought it was kind of funny that Tony Stark is the one laying out this plan at the beginning. He's like, because yeah, we're all going to go into space. We're going to fight off this builder threat. Like, go us. And then he's like, by the way, I'm staying behind. Good luck, guys. Well, I mean, obviously we know that he has to deal with the Illuminati threat. But at the same time, somebody like Starbrand, who's already apprehensive to go into space, like, that can't be a confidence booster when, like, Tony Stark is like, I'm not going.
Though there are some people that seem excited to go into space, especially some of these new Avengers. If you take a look at Cannonball and Sunspot, you know, they're whole new to this thing. And
they're just comic relief. That's what annoys me so much about those characters.
No, they're important. They provide the mutant perspective of this.
So unimportant. I will bet you that they get like less than 6 lines in this event.
Wow, really? They already had 2. They had 2 lines
in
already.
the same panel, so I think that counts as 1.
So you think it's only going to be 6 lines for the entire event?
The entire event.
All right, well, we'll have to wait and see. So we're already counting this one as 1. We'll see what happens next issue.
Sounds like a bet.
After reading this first issue, the one thing I did get was that this is such a Hickman series, or a Hickman story to be writing.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that he gets to pen the entire event. The last person who got to have like their own event was obviously Brian Michael Bendis with Age of Ultron, but before that it was like Matt Fraction with Fear Itself. Both those were very meh, in my opinion.
Yeah, but this is Hickman's first big event, and I really like his style. He doesn't really dumb anything down. It's very, very complex.
I think that can turn people off, though. Like, at the beginning, if things are too complex, you may not like it. I'd encourage everybody who's reading it now to keep reading it. I think the thing about Hickman is he creates these super complex stories that may not pay off till the very end. But when you do get to the very end and they do pay off, they're just so great.
Yeah, his stories tend to have a lot of moving parts. Already we seem to have, like, 2 or 3 ongoing storylines together. There's so many heroes and villains involved. And on top of that, he likes to really just infuse everything with just so much detail. Like, take the example of the Space Knights. You know, he didn't need to go into the whole reason why the Space Knights exist, how they get their powers, especially because they're just getting destroyed right now. That's the type of detail that Hickman just likes.
Yeah, I think Hickman cares much more about plot, whereas a guy like Brian Michael Bendis cares more about character.
Yeah, his conversation is a lot more snappier and wittier, whereas Hickman's doesn't have the exact same flair.
As a grade, though, for Infinity #1, what would you give it?
I'm going to give this issue a 4.5 out of 5. I love the complexity, I love the setup, I love the art, and the little things like redrawing the first 2 pages from New Avengers. I thought that was a great touch. My only worry is how can he possibly address everything before the end? It does seem that the New Avengers and Avengers tie-ins are going to have to carry a lot of the brunt for making this event progress along.
I'm going to give this issue a 4 out of 5. It is very much a setup issue. Much of the Builder storyline, like I said, was just a rehash. But I really like the insight we got into Thanos and the Inhuman storylines. And I'm definitely going to keep reading this event going forward.
Thanks for watching B3 Comics' review of Infinity Part 1. Before we go, we have a question for you.
Do you guys like the idea of having 2 or 3 distinct storylines in an event like this?
Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up.